Coming up on the News at 5. Extreme cold and more snow are on the way. Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz has what you need to know. Plus,
I think it's really good effort to get to these smaller communities.
eligible Lincoln residents line up for their first shot of the COVID-19 vaccine.
From Montana's news leader, this is MTN News at 5.
Good afternoon and welcome to the News at 5. I'm Marian Davidson. Thanks for joining us. Well, snow returns ahead of a blast of bitter cold. Now, we shot this video of snow coming down in Lincoln this morning, and drivers making their way over Rogers, Stemple, or Flesher Pass and along Highway 200 faced snow-packed, icy roads in the area. And this is just the beginning, isn't it, Curtis?
The tip of the little iceberg out there. I'm showing cutbank. This doesn't look like much is going on right now, but the wind chill, 29 below zero.
Yikes.
Yeah.
That's cold.
And this is moving through a lot of the states. Well, good afternoon, everybody. You can see, again, not really much in the way of wind, looks like in the trees, but wind speeds up to about 30 miles per hour right now, and temperatures are down near zero. Let's take a little tour around the state, shall we? Check out Interstate 15 through the Sunburst area. There goes the school bus, and look at that snow blowing across the road surface. You could barely see up in Browning with the snow and the wind. How about Loma? Also looking at some pretty solid snow, reduced visibility here in the north central part of the state. And around the Helena area, a little sun this afternoon, but you can kind of see a little haziness here over McDonald Pass. That's just that snow blowing around, and there will be more snow coming down. Look how much of the state is under a winter storm warning, winter weather advisory for some lighter snow in the northern part of the state. Wind chills an issue, not only for northeast Montana, but really for the entire state. And yep, an avalanche warning for the mountains down into Madison County, and then also into the northwestern part of the state. Snow 4 days. Wind chilled to the bone here. Watch out, dangerously cold wind chills, and I'll let you know how long we will stay sub-zero. That's coming up.
Thanks, Curtis. Well, today, Lewis and Clark County held their first COVID-19 vaccination clinics for people over 70 in the rural communities of Lincoln and Augusta. MTN's John Riley reports.
As snow blanketed the Blackfoot Valley, residents over the age of 70 eagerly lined up to get vaccinated for COVID-19, with some arriving before 6 a.m. Those getting vaccinated say they were excited to get their shots and very grateful the clinic was able to come to them, especially with winter road conditions.
That's huge, really, because it's an hour and a half in the wintertime. It's an hour and a half to get to Helena, so lines are big in there. It's quicker out here, So I think it's really good effort to get to these smaller communities.
Organizers say that even with the snowstorm, unless there was no other way, they were going to make it up here to the rural communities of Lincoln and Augusta, because it's important that these residents have the same access to the vaccine as people in Helena.
Current demographic eligible for the vaccine is 70 and over. And absolutely, we want to be able to go and serve those folks without having to put the burden of needing to travel, an hour or more over a mountain pass through a snowstorm to get that life-saving vaccine.
The county was able to supply around 100 doses to Lincoln and around 70 for Augusta residents. Merchant says right now there hasn't been an issue with using all the doses, as demand far outweighs current supply. More mobile vaccination clinics will be available in the areas as county vaccine supply allows. Merchant also added that while he'd have liked to have better weather, it was a good way to show that the mobile clinic model will work for the county's rural communities.
It gets complicated, but it's something we have to do. There's equity involved here. We need everybody to have the same equity and access to these shots.
Reporting from Lincoln, John Riley, MTN News.
And in Great Falls, the COVID-19 vaccine clinic is looking for help. The Cascade County Department of Emergency Services needs 8 volunteers per clinic to help with traffic control. Right now, the National Guard is helping, but they may not always be available. Members of healthcare organizations and the local community emergency response team, they're all also helping, but again, they have a lot of other responsibilities too.
It's not where we're going to put you out on the road. You're not going to be directing heavy traffic. It's just inside of Expo Park. Individuals who monitor the gates, monitor the comings and goings of people there so that they make sure they're on the list, make sure that they're proper appointment times.
If you're interested, call the Department of Emergency Services at 406-454-6900. Now taking a look at Montana's COVID-19 situation, active cases are holding steady while active hospitalizations continue to fall again. Right now, there are about 3,400 active cases in the state, and to put that number in perspective, that is less than 1/5 of the peak active case number from November. 102 people are currently hospitalized with the virus in the state. 4 additional deaths have been reported today, which brings the statewide death total to 1,326. MTN uses a combination of state and local data to provide you with the most up-to-date numbers regarding COVID-19 cases and deaths in the state. And like so many things in 2020, COVID-19 canceled Western Art Week, but Great Falls, Montana Tourism announced it will be back this year, although in a different format. Western Art Week events will be split between March and August. The idea is to have some events during the week of Charlie Russell's birthday and save some for the summer when some COVID-19 restrictions may be lifted. Great Falls, Montana tourism officials say they have gotten a lot of questions about the return of Western Art Week.
I've been having a gentleman call me from Florida every week asking when it's going to be. There are other news publications around the country that also highlight Western Art Week, and their magazines are going to press and they want to know what is happening.
Events like the Studio 706 Art Show, March in Montana auction, and others will happen between March 18th and 21st. Planners also hope to have another series of events beginning August 18th and running through August 22nd. Those events include the Out West Art Show and the Great Western Living and Design Show, among others. Helena High School was evacuated after a bomb threat this afternoon. Superintendent Tyler Reams said the threat was called into the school. Helena police officers, detectives, and school resource officers responded. The Montana Highway Patrol and Helena Police Department's bomb detection canines searched the school and surrounding property. Nothing was found, but detectives are actively working the case. Lewis and Clark County Sheriff Coroner Leo Dutton identified the 20-year-old man killed in a crash yesterday morning as Hayden Yamaguchi of East Helena. Dutton said he was killed by blunt force trauma. Montana Highway Patrol troopers think the crash happened between midnight and 3 a.m. at the corner of Shoshone Drive and Remington Street. Troopers say Yamaguchi was going south on Shoshone and failed to make the right turn onto Remington. His truck left the road and flipped on its side. Troopers said he was not wearing a seatbelt and was partially ejected. Yamaguchi was pronounced dead at the scene. Troopers said they suspect alcohol is a factor. Working from home, Zoom meetings, all of that has put Montanans in front of the screen more than ever, and more screen time can mean headaches, neck, and shoulder pain. MTN's Phoenix O'Connor spoke with a physician about what's behind the pain.
The work that I do is just with my own, leaning with my own body weight or letting their own body weight resting on my hands.
Brandon Bilyeu of Ascension Health in Helena is a doctor of osteopathic medicine. He says that during the pandemic, between Zoom meetings and working remotely, one thing has been a common denominator: pain.
Muscle tension in between their shoulder blades up into their neck, and then it'll go up into their head.
Which means headaches and even migraines. There are also several reasons why, including sitting in front of the screen for too long and carrying the weight of challenges we have faced during the pandemic.
If you mix the combination of bad posture and stress and anxiety, is a pretty good recipe for headaches.
How you are sitting while you're working could also be part of the problem.
It's something that we often know that we're supposed to sit with a little bit better posture, but when you're stuck for hours in front of the computer, naturally we'll start to do a lot of this motion.
His goal in his treatments is to get Montanans back to what they love to do: being outdoors.
Relieve some of that so they can do the stuff that they love to do.
In Helena, Phoenix O'Connor, MTN News.
When we come back, Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz has everything you need to know about the wicked winter weather headed our way. And later, the COVID-19 relief negotiations move forward. President Joe Biden signals he may be open to changing who gets a stimulus check and who does not.
Tracker weather starts now with Chief Meteorologist Curtis Grevenitz.
All right, welcome back, everybody. You know, not too shabby in Helena today with the sun poking through the clouds after a little snow this morning. 39 degrees. Look at the wind gusts, 40 miles per hour. In Great Falls, or at least this is from Geyser, certainly a little snowier and colder. It's 20 degrees in Great Falls right now. North wind at about 10 miles per hour, but a couple of fronts here. We've got a stationary boundary separating some cold air from some warmer air, and then an Arctic boundary that is beginning to move into the northern part of the state, just north and east of Glasgow and north of Havre. We're dropping below zero. That is without the wind. And of course, the wind speeds are certainly significant here and will continue to be a factor as we go through the weekend, pardon the pun, wind chill factor here. But 22 below in Cutbank right now, 12 below in Havre, 7 below in Glasgow, 28 above with the wind in Helena. That's going to change here. So yes, we have some snow, but cold air and wind will really be probably more dangerous, more of a threat than the snow here this weekend, and a little more significant. But look at this through Saturday night. Most of the state, wind chills well below zero, 30, 40 below in some locations here by Sunday morning. So just dangerously cold. Keep that in the back of your mind. Now onto the snow, where we've got some pretty solid snow coming through here. Look at this just north of Great Falls. That is right ahead of the Arctic boundary right there, that little curve coming down here. Some moderate to heavy snow in and around Great Falls right now, and that Arctic boundary is going to kick up some wind as well. Helena, still some breaks in the clouds, but snow increasing up through Wolf Creek Canyon. Very snowy around Lincoln today, out through central Montana. Areas of snow, and boy, between Great Falls and Fort Benton up through Loma and Havre, we've had some snow and wind there, and some snow out the High Line here as well. This cold and snow outbreak will not just be confined to Big Sky country. It's going to spill in through a lot of the United States here, dealing with very harsh winter weather conditions over the next week or so. This is going to be a good one here. You'll be hearing a lot about this across the national news as well. But areas of snow here continuing tonight, snow and wind, reduced visibility, and temperatures dropping with that Arctic boundary. It's getting close to Great Falls right now. It'll be around the Helena area, probably about 10, 11 o'clock here tonight. Snow decreasing about midnight and thereafter, but look at the snow increasing once again through Saturday. May even have a little sun northeast Montana, but a very snowy Saturday, a very snowy Sunday as well, at least for central western Montana. Look how kind of it's almost like a wave back and forth with the snow that will be coming down all the way again into Sunday and Monday. Snowfall amounts by the time we get into Sunday morning, where you see the shade of pink, talking more than 6 inches, that white more than 3 inches of snow. So there's a lot more accumulation to be had here on top of what we already had. So what we saw earlier today is included in this. So when all is said and done, as much as a foot around Helena, 14 inches in Great Falls, Lewistown up to about 16 inches, and already the mountains have seen as much as 12 inches of snow. For tonight, down below zero, and the wind chills much worse than this. Again, maybe down to about 20 below around Opheim tonight. That's without the wind. And we've got snow here increasing as the Arctic boundary slips south. Highs tomorrow, these may be a little generous. Either way, it's going to be a very cold day. I say generous, we might be 4 below zero as opposed to 4 above zero in Chinook. Areas of snow, maybe a little sun. At least you got that, a little silver lining northeast Montana. Lewistown snow, and Helena briefly milder. The real Arctic air arrives here in the Helena area on Saturday night into Sunday, single digits, and then we could stay below zero for most, if not all, of next week here. Look at those overnight lows between 15 and 30 below around the Helena area and for Great Falls. Temperatures getting cold here, colder in just a couple of hours, and then we drop below zero, may not get above the 0 point all of next week.
Thanks, Curtis. Well, Congress is taking new steps tonight to pass President Joe Biden's economic relief package, which is expected to include more stimulus checks. But just because you got a check last time does not mean you will get one this time. Joe St. George reports.
Stimulus checks. The first time was for $1,200. The second time, it was for $600. This time, for the moment, It's looking like it will be for $1,400, but who will get the latest stimulus checks?
We need to target that money.
But just because you received a stimulus check last time doesn't mean you're guaranteed to receive one this time. That's because President Biden is considering lowering the income requirement. Since the start of the pandemic, $75,000 a year has been the benchmark for stimulus checks. If you make below that, you received one in full. But the Biden administration is reportedly considering lowering that to $50,000 a year. Kyle Pomerlow is an economist with the American Enterprise Institute and explains why.
Most people, tallying up all Americans, are earning closer to $50,000 or around $50,000.
Pomerlow says the lower threshold is being considered in part because recent studies have shown Americans making more than $50,000 weren't hit as hard financially during the pandemic as those making under that amount.
One thing that lawmakers also need to think about is the cost of the rebate.
And cost is important, especially to President Biden in his effort to try and sway some Republicans to vote for this legislation. As far as timing, drafting of this bill is underway, but a final vote is not expected until mid-March. On Capitol Hill, I'm Joe St. George.
More people went to emergency rooms for mental health concerns and overdoses during the pandemic. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention reviewed ER visits from December 2018 to October 2020. Researchers found that more than 6 million visits for mental health conditions, suicide attempts, overdoses, intimate partner violence, and suspected child abuse. That is based on 190 million total ER visits. And the study showed that opioid overdoses saw the most consistent increases through the year. And still ahead on the news at 5, the Bison boys have a new teammate. We'll tell you more about the new addition to the roster coming up next.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back to the News at 5. This afternoon, the Montana High School Association confirmed that the state AA basketball tournament will be held in Great Falls, and that is music to the ears of the Bison boys basketball team. MTN's Tom Wiley introduces us to a new addition to the Great Falls High roster.
The Great Falls High boys were always expected to be good this year. With returning stars like Drew Wyman, Levi Torgerson, and Terrell Rollins, the Bison entered 2021 with a championship caliber roster, but then they received an unexpected addition.
I wanted to come in and just show them what I'm made of. Wanted to just have my element, just really help the team out in any way I can.
Junior Garrett Stone moved to Great Falls from Texas with his family at the start of the new year, and after participating in the required number of practices, he played his first game against crosstown rival CMR and immediately made his presence felt.
Doesn't seem like it's very often that we get guys coming to Great Falls High from, out of state or out of district that end up being productive players, but he's been that for us so far. He's a physical kid, strong, plays hard, starting to pick things up, so hopefully it keeps going in a good direction.
The core of the Bison varsity team has been playing together for years, but when they saw Stone step on the court, they knew he would fit in well.
We never really had any new kids come aboard throughout my 4 years here, and when we saw him and we came to practice, we knew he was going to be a player for us. He's fast, he's really good on the defensive end, and he's improving offensively, and he just gets down, hustles all the time.
Transition has been really, really smooth. Everyone's been very welcoming. It's been a great atmosphere all around.
Right now, Stone is still finding his role, but for a team with state title aspirations, the hope is that he can be an X factor.
He's definitely a factor, and we need that energy off the bench, and he brings that every single time.
So I'm pretty much six-man right now. I'm just getting in the groove of things. I come out, I get boards, I'll shoot the ball, I'll lay it up, I'll do anything. We got a great team this year for sure. Everyone's been telling me how good of a team we are, and I think if we just keep putting in the work, we can go really far.
Tom Wiley, MTN Sports.
Stone is currently averaging 2 steals per game, which is good for second on the team. And up next, we'll be back after the break, but first, here is a look at what is coming up tonight on Nightly News with Lester Holt.
When we welcome our West Coast viewers, the warning about Super Bowl gatherings this weekend and what concerns health officials. Also, active duty troops to soon join the effort to vaccinate more Americans. We'll have late details on those new super vaccination sites when we see you here for NBC Nightly News.
From Montana's news leader, you're watching MTN News at 5.
Welcome back to the News at 5. Great Falls nonprofits can now register to be part of this year's Give Great Falls event. It's a week-long fundraising campaign in May, which focuses on supporting and promoting local nonprofits. The registration fee is $50, and nonprofits that register will be listed on the event's website. Well, that does it for the News at 5. We'll be back here at 6 with your latest local headlines. NBC Nightly News is next.